Hi, this is Mike Devlin with the Mike Devlin Group, and I wanted to go over showing procedures with the new PEAD-V, which stands for Visitor Form from the California Association of Realtors. I've been getting questions from people that I coach and mentor about the form and how to use it and the best practices. So to begin with, let's just see if we can get, all right. So best practices, everybody who shows property, that includes agents and prospective buyers, is supposed to fill out a PEAD-V form, and a copy is supposed to be kept by the listing agent, and the listing agent should post the rules of entry, which you can actually get from the California Association of Realtors. I'll show you how. So May, June 2020 forms release. I've cut and pasted a few things, but the posted rule of entries is not a form, but is in the C.A.R. zip form library, PRE, and it notifies a person entering the property the requirements that needed to be followed to enter. And then the one we're going to spend more time on is the coronavirus property entry advisory and declaration for a visitor. It's intended only for use by visitors, not for the property owner or the occupant. We don't use one form for both. It can be used for sales transactions. It can be used for rental properties. All visitors should agree to and be given a copy of the C.A.R. document for best practices, this form BPPP, which is also available through the California Association of Realtors library. So what should be done at the showing? What should be at the showing? The rules say that there should be hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipe, face coverings, that before and after every showing it should be disinfected. And this is the listing agent's responsibility. I'm just saying that's what it says. So let's say you're going to show property. What form would you use? And the answer is the Coronavirus Property Entry Advisory and Declaration -Visitor. Now, what they've done with this form is notice that the form has room for more than one address. And in fact, because you can put in commas and semicolons, you could put in 4, 5, or 6 addresses. So the question I always get is, I've got a buyer, they want to look at 4 properties. Do I need to do 4 forms? Can I just do 1 form? It's a big hassle doing all the forms. So let's talk about an easy way to do that. Now, the simplest way to do it is that if you're showing 4 properties is to type in all 4 addresses here. The downside of that, there's 2 downsides. One is you're telling the listing agents what other properties you're showing. You might not care about that. You might want them to know I'm showing that other nicer home that's cheaper than yours around the corner. But usually we want to keep the cards, closer to the vest and not show them. And therefore we probably don't want people to know that. Also, by doing 4, let's say, different properties, that usually means 4 different listing agents, which means you're still going to have to send it 4 times. I'm just saying that's the simplest to do, but there's a way of doing it if you don't want to disclose all the different properties. Now, this is at the end of the form, and what we're going to want to do is type in the buyer's name and check buyer, and if there's the buyer's agent, let's say there's 2 buyers, you would do that. If there's the buyer's agent, notice the broker agent, and then we would fill it out. Now, this is the part that I'm focusing on in terms of making the process a little bit easier. At the very end of the form, notice the broker or agent for the seller, there's a spot for them to initial. And what we're going to do is we're going to include the listing agent into the queue for signing so that they get this at the end of the process, and when they initial it, we get a copy back. So the way I have done this, one of the ways of doing this is to create a template. All right, so you go into templates and you create a template, and the template is simply the PEAD form. Could be PEAD-V form, but the only time I see using this outside of a transaction template is for showing properties. I don't want to make, if my buyer's going to look at 10 homes, I don't want to create 10 different property transactions for each one of the different homes. I just don't want to do that. So what I've done is I've created a template that has the PEAD form, and it's got my information as the agent of the buyer. So in order for my system to work well, you should have the MLS numbers of the property you want to show handy, and that you put into zip form your client's name and email address. Now, assuming that you've done that, you've created a template. Right? These are the different steps. You've created a template. The template has your contact information, your broker's contact information, and the PEAD form. Number 2, you've made sure that your client is in the system as a party, and that's a different class, but that they're in zip forms. And number 3, we're going to create a transaction. And the transaction is going to be for our buyer client, and we're going to use it for all of the properties we're going to show. So we go to transactions, we click on new, we click on new purchase or offer. And what I would recommend is putting in the name of the buyer for the name of the transaction, clicking residential, selecting the template, and we're also going to do MLS Connect. But before we do that, it would look something like this. Name of the buyer, residential, active, it's got the template, but then we're going to go to MLS Connect and put in the first address. I don't think I've saved that, but I'll show you in real time. And once we've sent it out for signing the PEAD form, what we're going to do that's different is, in addition to sending it to the buyer and to ourselves, we're going to send it to the listing agent so they could sign it as well. Let's take a look at what are you talking about? All right. So what I've done is, I always thought I'd already done one of these. Let me look at transactions. And of course it's going to go slow. Now, all right. So I've already done a lot of this, right? Where I've created Billy the buyer. Notice it says MLS Connect. So let's say that the first property I wish to show is this property, right? So I want to show this property first, so I paste this in. I click on Find. I wait a moment, maybe 2 moments. All right, that's it. I click on Import. I say, yes, I want it to replace everything. So now I go to Documents. I only have one. It's the coronavirus, PEAD form. And it's already put it in, but if it didn't, if I click on the drop down, this is in the second bar, not the first one. It'll show me the address of the property that I just put into MLS Connect, which is the right address. I go down here, I've typed in the name of the buyer, I said buyer, I've typed in my name as the broker agent, because I'm going to go with them. And I'm not going to have another buyer, and I'm not going to worry about any of that right now. Okay, so here's the form. I'm going to click on e-sign. I'm going to click on next. And I'm going to have the buyer sign. I'm going to have me sign as the selling agent. And then this is one of my listings. I'm going to have me sign as the listing agent. Now up here is where you could make sure that you put in the parties to the transaction so that your contact is in there. Notice it'll read Google Contacts and Microsoft Contacts and Yahoo Contacts. So you shouldn't have any trouble. We have the listing agent at the end of the queue. We click on next. We wait. It always knows to slow down when I'm recording. We scroll down here. Now at the bottom, signer's initials. So we're going to want Billy the buyer to sign. And if we want to do this all at the same time, we're going to want us to sign as the agent. We scroll on down. Here's Billy the buyer. It's set up for me as the agent. Oops, I'm going to pick that, drag it in. And I don't worry about the date not being in the right spot. It's going to, if you feel like moving it over, you're welcome to do that. Let's put in Billy's information as well. Now notice down here, it's asking, it already knows that I'm the agent of the buyer, and it knows that I'm the agent of the seller for this particular transaction. So what it's done is it's automatically put in my initials in that place as the listing agent, right? Even though I know they're the same initials, the system knows that that one is for me as the listing agent. I click on send. I click on send. And what's now happening is that it's going to go to the buyer. The buyer is going to sign it. It's going to go to me as the agent of the buyer. I'm going to sign it and initial. And then it's going to go to the listing agent, right? And then when the listing agent initials it, I get a copy back that says the listing agent's initialed it. And what this has done, it's eliminated me writing an email to the listing agent and attaching the form, right? You understand? I don't have to do that. I've sent it right out of the system. So now we're done, right? What we would like to do, however, is show more than one property. So we're going to copy another MLS number. We're going to go to MLS Connect. We're going to wait. We're going to paste, find. And of course, it's slow today. There we go. Import. Yes, replace the information. Okay. Now, I'm going to get rid of this, but notice now what happens in the drop down. The next property that I've selected is there. So we go to the end. That looks great, right? Whatever. E-sign. Next. Again, Billy, and then me, because I'm the listing agent on that one too. Close. Next. And then it takes longer just waiting for it to load than it does for me to explain. And here we go. Looks promising. Well, how? All right. Well, that took a while. So now we're going to be doing pretty much what we did the last time. I should have just said that and stopped the video because it's taking a long time. All right. Scroll down. We drop in buyer's initials. If we're going to be there too, and we should, we drop in our initials. We go down here. Since we're already here with me, I'm going to drop in my signature block. I'm going to drop in buyer's signature block. And notice it's got the listing agent again. And then when I click on send, it'll go to the buyer, it'll go to me as the buyer's agent, and then it'll automatically go to the listing agent. When they initial, I have a copy back. Anyhow, I think that's quicker than... there's an advantage to doing this way rather than typing in all the addresses. Even if you type in all the addresses of the properties you're going to show, you're going to have to save the PDF and then you could email it to all the different agents. It's up to you. Either you use the multiple addresses or you do something like that. But this is the new form. This is the new procedure. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. Talk to you later. Bye.